Hello all and welcome back to another ZoidRush. I apologize for the delay from my first video to this video to the next video. I am so sorry, but we'll talk about that later in a different video maybe. First things first, this is going to be a two-part video. This is going to be about trailers. The first part's going to be about game trailers, and the second part's going to be about movie trailers. So we're going to have two separate videos about trailers, so let's get right into it. I rant a lot, so I figured I'd just cut them both up into separate things. Talking about game trailers first. So game trailers, this came up to me because I was watching the new trailer for the champion Areola Soul. I can't even pronounce it right. I apologize now. I'm sure somebody will comment on how I pronounce the champion. The new champion for League of Legends, the Dragon Champion. This champion's awesome. So the game trailers, and this is just not for Riot, by the way. This is just game trailers in general. uh, Ariel Soul's trailer came out, and I was watching it, and I was like, "Holy cow! I'm really hyped. I want to see this dragon in a movie." That's my first thought. I was like, "I don't care what it looks like in game. I just want to see the full dragon. I want to see him like, what can he actually do? His abilities. Let me see more of the video." Right? It got me really hyped up, and I think that's what we're going to talk about in the pros, and then the cons, and then I guess a counter argument back to the cons. Right? So when watching a game trailer, you don't always I don't know what you guys look for, but I like to look for gameplay, and I've talked about this before. I don't like CGI. I don't like when they use real people and then kind of focus it over, and the most notorious one is Halo. I'm not saying Halo did a bad job of that. It's just their way to kind of tease you for the game. But it was just never a big fan. Some people took that to like real life, and they're like, okay, if he looks as human as possible, people are going to just want the game because of the graphics look that good, and he's going to look like a human. And most of the time, it is an actual human, and I'm just like, you're kind of confusing us, right? But no, it kind of gets you hyped up. I want to see gameplay. That's a big thing. But a lot of people just wanted to see, hey, that looks interesting. Hey, I'll look into that, right? And we'll talk about that a little bit more. And it doesn't really show you gameplay. This is notorious for a lot of companies. Blizzard always does this for their Blizzard games. You had StarCraft trailer, and you have the World of Warcraft and Diablo. They never really show you gameplay. They just kind of show you a trailer to get you hyped up for the game. And League of Legends kind of follows this. Riot Games, not League of Legends, Riot Games follows in suit with this. When they release a champion, they just kind of give you this thing. But it really got me thinking. I'm like, that when I saw Ariel's soul in the game, I was just like, he's such a worm. He's so tiny. He's so tiny compared to this massive guardian dragon that he's supposed to be. And like he grabs his fist, and it's just a big, powerful ball of energy, and just he's got so much power. And then you see him in game, and his concept from what you saw in the video is implemented into the gameplay that he is on League of Legends. But it's like he's so tiny. Like, I know model size, they'll tell you that he's probably one of the bigger champions, and they kind of give you an estimate of how big champions were a while back. But it just like I was like, man, I'm kind of frustrated. I'm really frustrated, which leads us to the cons, is that you really don't get to see the gameplay. You really don't see the ultimate way the champion works until you get them in game, or they release, the champion spotlight, or even um, whatever the case may be. But I did some research, and I was like, what are some games that are notorious for this? And one of the games the most popular ones, is Elder Scrolls Online trailer. The trailer looks great, and this is a Reddit post that I'm reading off of, but it doesn't tell me anything about the world, nor does the characters, nor about the gameplay, or well, anything much apart from what sort of pre-rendered cutscenes I can probably expect to see in the game. And I'm just going to stop right there. And I totally agree. When it, when you see a trailer, I want to see, like I said before, I want to see gameplay. I want to see kind of how the game's going to look. The world, if it's an MMO, I want to see how big the world is, not just the map of the world, but like different areas of the world while you're running through it. Just some of the monsters or something you're going to fight. Something just overall that's just going to be like, wow, I really am interested in this game, or kind of the story behind the game would even be interested. And I think we lose focus in that a lot of the times. Going back to the Halo thing, like I said, they never really told you the story. The story was this kid or this human, was in the battlefield, and all of a sudden he puts on the Halo mask, and all of a sudden, bam, he's in the field and he starts fighting, right? Now, this is notorious because we have so much CGI and so much trailers coming out for games that it kind of skews our opinion and our idea of it. And the best thing I could talk about is the E3 trailer for Killzone 2. Here's another one. When looking at the trailer and looking in the game in-game graphics, the trailer looks amazing. It's very smooth. It's really sleek. The colors are great, and it just looks really, really nice. And this is, I guess, more of a graphic portion. It's not like really focused on gameplay. But when they do show gameplay within the Killzone 2, and they're flying the helicopter, their cutscene, and you just look in the game of that same exact cutscene, it's really grainy, it's much darker, they use darker colors, it's much more dull, it doesn't pop as much as it did in the CGI trailer. And this is also known for Blizzard's new way, is that you could use Overwatch. Overwatch was a complete cinematic trailer. I know Overwatch was supposed to be this game that was supposed to compete with the newer games, and Blizzard does this all the time, but it was completely CGI, kind of implemented the game in there, but it gave it an unrealistic representation. I'm not saying that it doesn't look like anything like Overwatch, but when looking at it, it just looks like you could do a lot more cooler things. The characters can move around differently. You can do certain moves that you really just wouldn't see ever in the game, let alone in a the game trailer. And then a lot of people have made videos of how you show things in games that are just clearly not really true. It's kind of pushing it, kind of not, right? And the last but not least game that I want to talk about is Total War Warhammer. Now, when this trailer, I watched the whole trailer because I was actually really intrigued. It's about the war, and it kind of feeds off of that Lord of the Rings style kind of game, if to give you an idea. And you have your soldiers built up, or not even Lord of the Ring. That's probably a bad example. Probably more of like your mobile games. You build up a bunch of soldiers, and then you attack the trolls. Long story short, right? And in the game, it's just like you have your soldiers, and he's got these big mounts, and it's just it's amazing. And then the trolls come in, and he's like flips them up in the air and eats them, and just clears out the ways. And orcs are fighting them, and humans are fighting back, and they got these spells, right? And then I looked at the gameplay, and it just looks very small. It looks just not as smooth as it was supposed to be. I mean, it's still a good game. Don't get me wrong, but it's one of those games where you're looking at it and you're like, okay, that's the orc. He's kind of big. He's like, kind of puny. He's got these basic attacks, and when you do these attacks, it's nothing great like the CGI trailer. Now, in the CGI trailer, the wizard summons down a rock, and all of a sudden this rock shoots in to hit this major orc, and you're great. When you're looking in game, it's like, all right, I'm going to do this ability, and it's like, and you're like, okay. Okay, okay, like really, really? And last but not least, the Division trailer. I actually probably hit this the most. Division, it seems like this kind of hit it on the head. Division doesn't look too much different. The Division did not look too much different from in-game to out of game, and I think it could still alter footage. In-game footage can be altered by carefully changing the settings, like how the particle is shot is exposed. Developers can be sure that their in-game footage looks like it's an absolute best by the time the trailer is released. Even if the feature is not available to normal gamers or requires processing power nor gaming PC would be capable of. And I guess the Division is the most example of this. It's just very clean shot, very smooth, everything, and some of the things that the PC couldn't do or couldn't capture, you see in this trailer. And it's just like, I just feel like we're getting deceived. And like I said before, one of the pros is you're supposed to see a sneak peek of the game. It's supposed to get you interested. It's supposed to get you really hyped up about the game. It's not really supposed to show you what the game is, right? Which goes back to my counter argument of the Elder Scrolls Online and just general things. So a few of the comments that wrote on the Elder Scrolls Online about the trailer, they said, honestly, I don't expect much. I expect that anyone watches the trailer and thinks, yes, I'll buy that. Instead, they think, hey, that looks neat. What is that? And then they go look it up and learn more information about it. After all, in a 30-second ad spot, they don't have time to provide great detail or information about the world or your character, just a bunch of flashy images of key points of the game. Similar key points or counter arguments to this is that most people should know that the games don't actually look like that, which I understand that. I don't expect the game to look like that, which goes back to the League of Legends reference. Like the new champion, the Dragon Champion, I know the Dragon Champion is not going to look anything like that in the game, but it's just like, oh my god, I hyped it up. But many people know that World of Warcraft is a game, and obviously it does not look like the pre-rendered cinematics, which is a good example or counter-argument. Even if someone doesn't know, it is not like the developers are actively trying to hide gameplay. More often than not, the contrary in this case. If you show interest in the trailer and look what the game it belongs to, it's all about it's likely you found lots of gameplay. If someone actually buys the games because he thinks they look and play like the pre-rendered trailers they saw and just didn't try to inform themselves, well, fuck it. They deserve it. Lesson learned. Which I guess you can argue both these points again. I just feel that it's not that we're getting deceived too much, but I just want to see more of the game of what I'm going to buy. When you're putting out a trailer, I don't want to see this fancy cinematic, which are really cool to watch. Is a great story in between, or somewhere in between the story, or the beginning of the story, or the end of the story. But at the same time, um, I just want to see what the game produces. Yeah, that might be interesting, or a car might look nice. For example, if we take a beer or car commercial, people don't expect the girl on the hood or riding or holding the beer to be part of the product. But at the end of the day, you want to know, hey, this is what this car does, how this car drives, what this beer tastes like, what this beer is made of, for two different examples. And I don't think that is what the games do. I think the games kind of show you, hey, this flashy, different kind of characters, of what that character is supposed to look like, and these flashy moves or ideas, and then all of a sudden they turn around and in game you're like, all right, that's not as flashy as I saw in the trailer, or the guy is not as rendered or not as smooth as it's supposed to be. Like I said, the best example I gave you for that one was the Killzone 2 trailer. When they go side by side, you can look this up. Killzone 2 game versus E3 trailer. In E3 trailer, it's just much more colorful. It's more bright. They pop more, and in the game, it's just much more dull, which it's supposed to be because you're in the war, of course, in a Killzone. Duh. But it's like a lot more grays, and it's just like the character's a little bit more grainy, and you're just like, and you're just like, would I really buy this the second time? And that is it. I know, once again, just to be disclaimer, I know games are trying to sell their game. They're not really, it's more of you to get interested, but at the same time, I think we could combine the two. I mean, if you're going to show a trailer at E3, or if you have more than a 30-second spot on TV, you can easily add in-game footage and just be like, hey, this is what our game looks like, and here's a little story to it. Just enough to get you hyped. Or don't show any of it and just show you like the title. That's really when you can get hyped. It's like when you see a game, it's like PlayStation, and then all of a sudden, or Xbox, so people don't get mad. And then boom, the game title. And you're just like, oh, what is that game? Like, what is that? What is Kill Shadow 5000? And you're like, whoa, can I? And then you want to look it up, right? I'm just saying. Anyway, that's it. This is part 1 of part 2. The next one's going to be of movie trailers. Thank you all for sticking with me. I love your face, and I will see you next time. If you want to follow me on my social medias, I'd appreciate it. You can click the links down below, or you can type them in your browser. There they are, off to the right, or my left, your right. One of the two. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.